Most of the people out there in sheeple-land, their right limit is when it starts to get uncomfortable. Their right limit is when it hurts, when it starts to get hard, and then they quit. That's the right limit. It doesn't work like that with me. I will go all the way to the point where my meat suit quits and I die. Hello everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode live from the Lair. Alright, in today's episode, let's see, we're going to cover, the coronavirus has gone all kinds of crazy, and we're covering a actual redonkulous episode on that on Friday, which will go into more of the political ramifications of what's going on. What we're seeing for the past 45 to 60 days is a slow increase when you compare it to the entire earth of people who are infected. Now we're seeing pockets that are expanding in different countries. And, from there, it's just one springboard away from, boom, going through the roof. Now, I've been following quite a few YouTubers in regards to the coronavirus. And there's a doctor, it's a retired nurse in England who is very thorough in the way he has talked about this new pandemic. And then there was another site out there called MedCram. I watch that every single day. And there's another one out there, I don't remember the name of it. I wish I did, but I don't have it in front of me. And apparently there is some scientific basis and anecdotal evidence in regards to chloroquine having some antiviral properties, which are shortening the length of the illness and pulling people back from the brink of basically cardiovascular and lung failure after their body, basically freaks out over the virus and fills their lungs full of juice. It's the only way you can put it. So, there's also some more evidence out there that if you take the chloroquine or the hydrochloroquine, which is better tolerated, and you also take zinc supplements, that this will also further assist in keeping the virus from replicating in your bloodstream. Now, one of the main reasons why this virus is so bad is one, we've never seen it before. Our bodies have never experienced it before. And number two, when something has never been experienced before, you don't have any immunity to it. So it takes hold and starts replicating. And depending on how your body works, some people have great immune systems that immediately, jump on it and extinguish it before it gets bad, and they're sick for, 3 to 5 days. And some people, their bodies don't really ramp up until 10, 15 days after the infection is started. And by then, your body is just overwhelmed with viral particles. And then from there on, you're playing catch up, trying to, stop them from ruining, other systems in your body, like your kidneys and, other internal organs. We're going to go in more detail in regards to that on Friday, so I'm not going to do it right now. So either way, you guys got to be careful out there. Now, I know, they're saying the masks don't help. Well, yeah, they do. All right. One, if you're infected, they actually cut down on you infecting people around you. And number two, okay, let's just put it in a military term. All right, say you're invading a country from the ocean, and you have the ability to put 50,000 troops on the shore in a 4-hour span. If you're defending that shore, that is very, very hard to do. But say you put up barriers so they can't all get to the shore at the same time. maybe 1 or 2 boats, between 100 and 1,000 can get on the beach at one time. That is way more manageable. All right, and that's what a mask will do. It'll cut down on the viral particles that actually get into your system. I mean, if you get barely enough to infect you, and it's not really going to make you sick for, say 7 days, that's 7 days your body has to react to that. Now, if you get a huge lump sum dose of viral particles, and you have much less time for your body to respond to that, and it could easily cascade into the tidal wave of, respiratory failure. Your body fills full of juice.
You are not the daughter of a god. And you're not a superhero. You don't have an iron suit. You're 120 pounds soaking wet. You're not some Mary Sue in a film. You want to kick my ass? I'm right here. Kick my ass.
You don't have any guns?
No. I do have a couple of grenades, though.
Wait, what?
Always been a rebel.
Are those for real?
What the hell would I be walking around with fake grenades for?
Miss Cortez, do you believe in destiny?
Now, this particular episode is a combination of about somewhere between 30 and 50 emails I got in the past, 8 months. All right, in regards to the tests that they should. Well, I'm not one to say that, but how the tests worked. If you're truly a man, and then the motivation. How do you get motivated? Focus, failure. When is it enough, and when do you quit? These are the premises of all those emails, and I'm going to go over them right now. So if you sent me one of those emails, pay attention. Now, first thing is the test. All right. So a lot of guys, they don't really know, at what threshold they're men. All right. Now, back in the day, there was all kind, the men in a group would basically, vet or, force a newcomer to pass certain standards before he was accepted into the group. Historically, that has happened all the way back since they started, chiseling shit in rocks. Okay, only in the past, 30, 40 years has all of that gone away. So you have a lot of men out there who, always get the trophy. You can't really say anything negative because you hurt their feelings. And then they turn 18 and, they've reached the age of manhood, but they've never actually passed the bar into, being accepted as a man. All right, now, there's a lot of people going to frown upon me for bringing up this subject, but it is important. The Western feminists, or the new wave feminists, are completely toxic. And anything that used to exist that basically assisted boys to become men has been feminized and ruined. Case in point, Boy Scouts. Now, when I was a Boy Scout, which I was, we went camping all the time, and you went out with just what was on your back. We fished, we shot guns, we hung out around the fire, we hiked, and there was a couple of trips we went on where you hiked like 10 miles a day. In the beginning, you were smoked as fuck, but at the end, your body got used to it. Now, I have talked to a couple of Eagle Scouts who have stepped back from the Boy Scout community because all of that has been basically watered down to the point where Boy Scouts is virtually equivalent to Girl Scouts, which ruined the whole thing. All right, and we have a lot of, there's a lot of, let's see, how do I want to put this? All right. Overcritical or overzealous safety nets in place. So, you don't get hurt, or you don't really have to face the danger, or any of the stuff that used to be used to, vet men. Now, in my regard, I was raised by a single mother. I had no male role models in my life. Now, I was fortunate enough to see that this was a bad thing. And I did this probably halfway through 8th grade. And I remember one of the coaches from the football team for the high school came over, and we had it was after one of our rallies, all of the 8th grader, boys were in the bleachers, and he was pitching football. I had never really played sports because I have no hand and eye coordination. It's just the way it is. I can't catch. I could throw decent now, but back then it was pathetic. And I knew that I needed some kind of catalyst in my life. So, I went toe to toe with my mother to get her permission to play football. And I played football all 4 years of high school. All right. Now, I had no business being on the team. I was the smallest. Let's see, in the beginning, I was the second smallest guy. When I got to varsity, I was the smallest guy, And for whatever reason, I was allowed to stay on the team. I took a hell of a lot of punishment, but it is what it is. I never started. I got my letter twice, but just barely. And that's just the way it is, And I took away some valuable lessons from that. How to take a lot of fucking pain. 2, no matter how much it hurts, you get on your goddamn feet. And 3, not one time did I ever quit. Ever. Those lessons I took forward into the world when I graduated high school. Now, I didn't really know what the limit was. When are you a man? So I kept seeing things. I'm like, I'm going to do that, and then I'll be a man. Right? So, learn martial arts. Bench over 350 pounds. I still didn't feel like I was there. Join the infantry. Become an airborne ranger. Become a paratrooper and become a Green Beret. That and then after that, I fought professionally. Actually, it wasn't after. During that, I was fighting professionally, and the whole time I was like, "Hey, if I could do this, I'll be there." And it was a never-ending drive pushing me forward to do this, because nobody had told me or nobody had shown me what the far limit is, and I went so far to that far limit. Now that limit is now death. All right, that's why I have this up here. It signifies my right limit. Most of the people out there in sheepleland, their right limit is when it starts to get uncomfortable. Their right limit is when it hurts, when it starts to get hard, and then they quit. That's the right limit. That doesn't work like that with me. I will go all the way to the point where my meat suit quits and I die. That's just how it works. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know why I was doing it, but it went on until, I was roughly 31. And I remember I had fought for a world title and was defeated. And I had, I think it was 5 fights after that. I did okay. I fought this last guy in Minnesota. He was a diabetic, 174 pounds. And I couldn't get to the openings. I lost on decision. It was a 6-round fight. And I shook his hand at the end, and I thanked him because I knew I was done. I had come to the end. And then, I got married, had kids, got divorced, went through the whole deal, deployed to war, led a company of, paratroopers in combat for almost a year. If that didn't put me over the line for being a man, I have no idea, how to do it then. All right, now I've had a couple questions on motivation. All right, this is a tough one. If you don't have motivation, you have to start off small. All right? Or you need to throw yourself into the fire, where you have no choice but to be motivated. Like, I don't know, go in the military. Like if you're in your mid-20s and you've been sitting around for 6-7 years at home, and and you feel like your life is going nowhere, and you don't know what to do, you can, and if you did okay in high school and you don't have any felonies, you walk your ass down to the armed forces and pick one. Even the Coast Guard's even good. I mean, you learn some good shit in the Coast Guard, and they're not going to physically crush you. Now the Marines, I love the Marines to death. Their soldiers are, as a group, are far none the best. But they fight stupid, and their chain of command treats them like disposable red water balloons. I just am not on board with that. That's just me. That's just the experience I have. I saw the aftermath of both Fallujahs. And the Marines really did take a horrific beating in both of those conflicts or battles. In my opinion, about 30 to 40% of it was completely unnecessary. Now, motivation, a little bit at a time. All right, some people, they need to do that. You pick yourself a small goal, like get a job that pays you $15 an hour. All right, maybe preferably something you like doing, but it is what it is. In the real world, job is not spelled fun. All right, make that goal, look for the next one, and then climb it like a ladder. All right, now there are some people out there who have, well, I'm one of them, have probably one of the best gifts that can be bestowed upon a human being, and that's drive. Because if you have enough drive, you can make anything happen. You want to get bigger, you can get bigger. You want to get faster, you can build the speed. Okay, you want to be stronger, you have the drive to do that. All right? When there's a will, there's a way, and that is true in every regard. Okay? Now, if you aren't like me and you weren't born, or you don't have within you this huge reservoir of drive to draw off of, you're going to have to build it. And basically the way you do that is little steps at a time, or you just dive into the fire. All right, now, some people have asked me, how do I stay focused? And I've been doing this video shit for a long time, and write books and stuff. Motivation and focus basically are hand in hand. You actually have to pick your target, and just drive forward for your specific goal. Okay, and a lot of guys out there, when they will do this, they will start off great, and then they'll be like, "Oh, this is great, yeah, pussy." The little ahead takes them right off the path, and then 10 or 15 years later, after they're divorced and all kinds of shit, they're like, "Hey, I could have done this. I gave this up for her, and at the end, she got rid of me, and I lost my kids. What did I do it all for?" Stay the course, gentlemen. Stay focused. Okay, even if you can't, get a huge amount of motivation, you can actually compensate for that by developing razor sharp focus. All right, and that's how I did videos about it in the past. Because I've had guys when I was in the military like, "Oh, I don't know where to begin," and I'd be like, "All right, stop talking. Take a deep breath in, and I want you to turn around in a 360-degree circle." And they would do that, and I'd be like, "Now you have a starting point, right where you're at. It's with you every single day, 365, until you kick your air addiction." All right, failure. If you've ever been one of those guys who likes to read books, especially fiction, when on earth has there ever been a book where the hero or the protagonist of the writing always gets the hottest girls, filthy rich, wins at everything he does, never fails. That book doesn't exist, and if it does, nobody reads it because it's boring. They want to hear about the guy who had some kind of horrific tragedy happen to him when he gets on his feet and off his ass and he takes revenge. Or the guy who has absolutely nothing, the underdog, who somehow is able to win. Those are the stories worth reading. And gentlemen, your life can be one of those stories, because everyone I know, including myself, has experienced failure. It's going to happen. All right, and then when you do fail, the best thing you can do is, for what reasons? Why did you fail? And don't run away from the why, because if you do that, you're not going to progress. All right, you have to acknowledge why you failed, and then either fix it or treat it as an obstacle and circumvent it and drive on. That's how you get over failure. So, in a nutshell, everyone on the face of the earth is going to fail at some point or another. All right, and you're just going to have to find out why you failed, and then fix it and try not to fail again. When is it enough? In my particular instance, it's never enough. You know, granted, I'm older now. Physically, I can't do a lot of the stuff that I used to do in my youth. And if I do partake in those particular activities, I can set myself up for death or a permanent breaking. So I have to channel, what I'm doing in other regards. So I'm basically, my life was in the physical world of conflict and strife to be better. And now I can no longer do that. So I moved it over to the mental aspects and the spiritual aspects, and I can continue down this path until I die. So it's never enough. All right. And when to quit. All right. Now, in my particular instance, it was time for me to quit the physical aspects of what I was doing when, after I got wounded and I was in Langstuhl, Germany, and the doctor came in and said, everything that you used to do, you can't do it anymore, or you will die. Because apparently my body had absorbed somewhere between 3 and 4 times the explosive force to instantly kill a human being. And it weakened and damaged critical systems within my meat suit, which are working just fine. And, but sooner or later, they're probably going to give out, and that'll be it for me. And I'll have to kick my air addiction and get in line for my next go-around, which is probably going to happen, even though I really don't want to do this twice. All right. Well, that's it in a nutshell for a lot of these emails. I mean, I was going to read some of them off word for word, but a couple of them, the people didn't want that, and so I just took the premise out of the emails, so not to hurt anybody's feelings or embarrass anyone, because we can't have that now. But anyway, gentlemen, that's the Lair for today, and I hope that this whole pandemic bullshit isn't going to impact you too severely. And I hope a lot of you actually took me at my word and prepared 2 to 2.5 months ago when I started raising the alarm.